Hello, are you out there? It's Mark with Redo Over, and we're back to Stellaris, no DLC, super in-depth playthrough. Here we go. We're like on episode 25. If you've been with me this long, what's wrong with you? Yeah, what's wrong with you? Okay, we left off with just futzing about. No, we need to get our newer level medical clinics up and running on all of our colonies. We have been saving up a good amount of exotic gases, and we are at 188 in reserve. We are producing 4 extra surplus exotic gases a turn, so we're hoping to be able to manage one of these advanced medical centers on every single one of our 7 colonies. So if we jump over right here, we can see the gene clinics. Indeed, they require an exotic gas upkeep of 0.9, so 11% less than 10% is 10% less than 1. Yeah, 0.9. I'd love if there was a way to reduce that even further, just for efficiency's sake. But if we're going to be doing 7 of those clinics, times 9 is 5.6. So we need to be bringing in roughly 6 exotic gases a turn. So I think we're buying a few, we're producing a few. Yeah, okay. So right here I can see Fula has their gene clinic. Let's jump to Isius. They are ready to upgrade. And remember, this, yes, they're ready to upgrade. And it takes at a base. Where is my upgrade number? 45, down at the bottom. Oh my God, isn't that crazy? It's like all the way at the bottom of that pop-up is the time, the minerals, and the extra strategic resource cost. I always thought that those values were at the top when you were going to build a building. Yeah, look at the luxury residence. Right? When I click on it, it shows the build time of 240 days and 360 minerals. But when I mouse over here onto the upgrade, it's all the way at the bottom. Shrug. This is weird. I don't know why they would flip-flop that, but okay. I don't write the rules, folks. All right, there we go. Isius has their gene clinic in the queue. Let's jump to Elysia. They have a gene clinic. Awesome. Let's jump to Wegmore. Hasn't been destroyed yet. They have their gene clinic. Castor Prime ready to upgrade right there. Jarrell War ready to upgrade. Ooh, can they upgrade? Yes. And do we have enough? Yes, we have just enough for Troitum. They don't even have a clinic. Well, that's fine. Let's get that going then. Nor do they have a luxury residence. Wow, this is brand new. Yeah, Troitum is brand new. So let's do this. Let's get the medical center in there, and let's get a luxury residence in there. What were we doing with Autochthon monuments? We are building them. You know, they switched around, by the way, in 4.1 update, if anyone didn't notice. The Autochthon monument is no longer a building you start with automatically. It's one you have to research through the technology tree. I've been doing a couple other, side playthroughs. I got side games going on Stellaris. Sorry to reveal that to everyone. But, yeah, so I don't know if that's if we get it because we're spiritualists now automatically, if you choose that, or if it's always a technology you have to research. It wasn't exactly clear, but it is one of the changes that I believe they made in 4.1. So... otherwise, I like to build those luxury residences and the Autochthon monuments because they are structures that give you benefits without taking workers, pops. Okay, so yeah. Here we go. Could we use an Autochthon monument here? Yes, and we have plenty of minerals, so let's throw it in. So again, Fula has got both. Isius looks good. Elysia has both. Wegmore has one in the queue. Castor has both. Jarrell War needs one in the queue. Yeah, let's do that. There we go. And finally, Troitum. It's got the medical center, the luxury residence, and then, yes, why don't we throw in the Autochthon monument right there? And then we'll just have to get their medical center upgraded. So that'll give everyone what we consider the base buildings for any one of our colonies. The reason that combination works so well for new colonies is because the luxury residence and the Autochthon monument don't take pops. So when your colony is brand new with only 200 people, you can still get some interesting benefits. Now, I will be fair. To be fair, the Autochthon monument may not be as useful if your civilization build isn't so focused on unity like ours is. Because the Autochthon Monument's going to functionally get you some unity primarily. But yeah, so if you've got the extra minerals, it's probably a good starting place for getting a colony off the ground. And then the gene clinics, of course, the clinics and the gene clinics help your colony grow faster because you're getting all those medical workers increase organic population growth rates. So yeah, it's a smart choice. Otherwise, that was everything we had to do. No, we'd been looking at the fleet manager last time. And I actually got some answers. Some very helpful folks in the comments gave me some tips. So some of the tips are like, hey, try these builds. Go for lasers, pull out the armor, go for shields, blah, 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 and you can kick butt through the mid game kind of thing. I won't get into anything like that because I don't want to pretend that I know the right curves and that I understand what the alien civilizations, what their technologies are, and what they're coming out with. I'm not like an expert in the game that way. But I do want to go through some of the basic stuff I learned, such as auxiliary slots can take reactor boosters, thus giving you extra energy. And I was going, I don't need extra energy for the amount of shields and weapons systems and whatnot. I don't need the extra energy, so let's leave that auxiliary slot empty, save on a little bit of alloy on these ships, because what good is the extra surplus energy? Well, I found out that apparently that extra energy is dumped into your, for all intents and purposes, you're diverting power to thrusters. Divert all power to thrusters. Aye, aye, Captain. And it increases functionally your evasion, makes your ships harder to hit. In particular, with smaller ships, like a Corvette or a destroyer, it's going to give them more scoot. So let's jump back into the fleet manager real quick and take a look at that if we can find it. We're going to go to the ship designer. Let's take a look at the Crow. And I'm looking at the evasion here. So this is the Crow. This is the auto-generated ship design. This is coming at a 67.3 for evasion. That is coming from +5 from the thrusters, +60 from the Corvette, from the hull size functionally, or hull class, whatever you want to call it. And there is the third option down is excess power +3%. Now, if you're adding a thruster to get a +5, this is always the problem when they use numbers versus percentages. I'm assuming that evasion works off of a total percentage. When you hit 100% evasion, that is the highest it can go, because it's a percentage. So percents go from 0 to 100, folks. Just FYI, that's how it should work. So is excess power of +3% functionally just +3, or is it 3% more of 65? So if we look at the numbers, 60 plus 5 is 65. So what my point is this, is that we're not getting 60 plus 5 plus 3 would be 68 when it comes to this number. We're getting 67.3. So is 3% of roughly 2/3 of 100 2.3 more? I think so. So when it says it is a percentage, I believe it is a percentage of the 65, not a percentage of 100. So +5 is not the same as +3% in this case, right? It's worth a little bit less. So you don't get a lot for it, but we get something. This is a question. Ultimately, evasion means you don't get hit, though. So that means damage isn't going to your shields. Damage isn't going to your armor or your hull. It's just not being applied to your ship at all. So some definite trade-offs there. You don't want to get hit. It's the best defense is a good offense, and the second best defense is not getting hit. Is the runaway strategy, which is functionally what evasion is. Let's look at the Trident real quick then. And you can see the Trident's coming into 65.8. The only difference there is that their excess power, because we left the booster off, is there's still a little bit of excess power. You can just see here we're at a +13 even without the auxiliary. let's compare here. The plus 13 on the Trident. Let's jump back to the Crow. Plus 48. Big diff. So when you look at something like the improved reactor booster class 2, 10 alloy for an extra 2.3 total evasion. Again, you would need to do some pretty hardcore math and spreadsheets to find out if that's really worth it. It's not nothing though either. This is the thing: is you could just be like, oh man, just build the best ship you can. That's probably solid advice, except the total alloy cost of these ships is coming in around 100, around there, right? In this case, 115 for the Crow, and sorry about that. And for the Trident, 108, so around 100. So when you're looking at that auxiliary booster, class 2, at a 10, that's functionally a 10, let's say a 9 or 10% increased cost in alloys. So think about this. If you had unlimited naval cap, would you rather have 10 corvettes with an extra with an extra, we'll say 2 evasion, or would you rather have 11 corvettes without the plus 2? 10 corvettes or 11 corvettes? Sorry. I feel like 11 corvettes. If I'm limited by alloy, which I'm not, I get it. This is just, there's a lot of ways to think of it. You could, taking off that reactor booster would allow us to literally build like 1 extra corvette for every 11 corvettes we build. Functionally, right in that range. Either 11 for 10 or 12 for 11, something like that. A whole extra ship. But if we think about it this way, we do have a naval cap. So it's not that we can just build infinitely many crappier ships. We have a very limited amount of total ships we can build, so we should build all of them as good as we can. Maybe. Yeah, because naval cap exists. So just food for thought. Listen, even if you're at your naval cap, you've always got places to dump your extra alloy into defensive platforms. I'm not saying defensive platforms are brilliant, but if you're sitting on that alloy, it's not a bad idea because you're going to want to put it into extra star bases or defensive platforms. In particular, as we've already discussed, defensive platforms at your choke points, like at the Dittram station and up here for us at the Edelmar and the Dwumgar stations. We want as much firepower as we can get. Because back to the best offense, the best defense point is offense. In Stellaris, the AIs are doing a constant calculation, if they have hostilities with you, as to whether they should invade is very much as to whether is what your fleet power is based off of. They're like, can I win that fight? So you want to have a lot of naval cap. You want to have your naval cap filled. But at your stations, you want to have them beefed up with offensive capabilities, defensive capabilities, and I dare say as many defensive platforms as you can squeeze in there. So you save 10 alloy on every one of your ships. You throw those into defensive platforms. Now, granted, those defensive platforms are coming in at, 250 alloy a pop? They're expensive. They're worth over, always roughly like 2.5 times the cost of a Corvette. So, food for thought. All right, I've been dithering long enough. Let's jump back into the Fleet Manager, though, because the other thing I learned about was upgrading an entire fleet over. I have not done this, but we have the new Trident class. Do we like the Trident class? I'm not saying it's a good design. I was just fiddling with it, but let's experiment in upgrading a Crow class fleet to a Trident class fleet. Apparently, this is where you do it from. So, who do we got that is Crow class? Let's find one that's not too huge. The Solar Reavers, they are Corvettes. Solar Reavers are what class? Oh my gosh, wrong guy. Trident. They are Trident class. Okay, awesome. Scurvy Dogs, Crow class. 1. Okay. I want to switch them over to what template? No. Add a ship? No. Upgrade ships. Take point. How do we do this? Reinforce all. Retrofit. Oh, there you go. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, we want to retrofit this ship to, and here we go. We could choose the classes. So, by the way, we're saying ship, but in this case, the Scurvy Dogs fleet. This could be 70 corvettes in this fleet here. So we have the Crow class. They're upgrading it right now. I see the up arrow. Let's not worry about it. But let's convert it to the Trident class. Boom. And then we do it. How do we do it? Right? Did we do it? It's not automatic, obviously. Let's hit play.
Construction complete.
I'm just trying to see. Let's pause it real quick. We're running slowly. I want to see the Scurvy Dogs. Where are you guys at? Right down here? And they're at the Ditcham Station. Ditcham Station does have a shipyard. And if I click on the fleet, the Scurvy Dogs are Crow class. All right. Upgrading the ship. Let's just... Oh, why is that going so slow? I'm watching it here. They must be working on other ships here. Let's speed it up a bit. Oh, come on. I just want to see what's happening with this dang ship. Oh, yeah, they're upgrading other ships at Ditcham before we're going to get to that one. But ultimately, we'll run through this stuff, but we want to see if this Crow class switches to the Trident class via this upgrade. So we essentially took a fleet. We said retrofit to, we got to choose the class category. I'm not sure what the extra cost is to us, though. It can't be free. Do you get alloys back if you remove stuff? Question. Wasn't really clear to me on that. But let's just take a look at these events that are popping up. Cybrex Refinery. We're interested in the Cybrex precursor event chain. Ancient debris from some kind of massive Cybrex refinery complex has been found in orbit around the gas giant Elysia 2. Lingering energy traces suggest that it was destroyed by some kind of antimatter weapon. There you go. Issue, Special Project Cybrex Refinery. Fascinating. I'm going to pause there. Let me close that fleet down. What do we got here? Fleet upgraded. Yeah, that's the Rapscallions. Foreign Empire claims our system. Dirty dogs. That's fine. And let's go to traditions available. Fantastic. We are moving through the diplomacy tree. And I know we were hot on the trail of the Federation technology. Because we want to federate with the Talacurans here. But right now we have two choices. We can get diplomatic networks. This would be +3 unity from any embassy we make. Which, do we have an embassy? Well, we're gonna look at our diplomatic situation today on this playthrough. So we'll maybe make some adjustments to that. Also allows advanced diplomatic actions without an embassy. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a weird one because they kind of is at odds with itself. It's two effects: the embassies and allowing diplomatic without an embassy. It's kind of weird, but just because you get it. Entente coordination. Is that how you say that? Entente, but I don't think that's how you say that. Is that entente? Entente? French. I don't know. Federation naval capacity contributions +100%. Border friction -25%. I like that. And if anyone knows how to say the word entente, let me know, because it's probably the word entente, but I don't think I've ever seen the word entente spelled. So I don't honestly know how you would spell it. I'm a terrible speller. So between the two, I kind of like this one. I would like to get that reduced border friction right now. But one thing to consider sometimes when you're in a weird little pickle like this, where you're at the bottom of a tree, or you can start into a new subtree, is there anything in the subtree you want to get to sooner? So let's just take a quick look at direct diplomacy. That's trust cap +50, trust growth +33%. That is good. And on the other side, eminent diplomats, diplomatic acceptance +5. Envoys, improving relations have a 1% chance each month of requiring a favor. I'll tell you, it looks like everything on this bottom row is pretty good. But let's grab this right now. I would like that border friction reduction just because We do have the very hostile neighbors to the galactic west of us. So, yes. Yeah, we'll take that. And we're 52 months out from our next pick. So, yeah, we'll move through that diplomacy tree and we'll try and maximize its effect. Otherwise, I want to go back to Scurvy Dogs. I'm watching... Just watch them cruise through this real quickly.
Council agenda ready. Ships
upgraded. Okay, hold on. They did it. I'm pausing the game again. Here we go, Scurvy Dogs. And it's still a Crow class. Let me click off, click back on. Still a Crow class. I feel like they didn't upgrade. Maybe because they were upgrading, but they didn't retrofit. So hold on. Now that we can see that it has been upgraded, there's no additional upgrades that need to be done, right? That's finished. Now let's go back into the fleet manager, select the Scurvy Dogs, and we want to again try this. Yeah, you remember there was the golden up arrow here, so maybe it superseded the retrofit command. So hold on. Retrofit to Trident class, and I really want to see if it's going to tell us what that cost is. I see that the firepower does increase from 63 to 69. And is there a way to initiate that? Disband, show details, retrofit. Okay. Let's run it. I'm running the clock. I'm trying to see if it's doing it. It's not doing it. All right. There's some command to lock this in to make this happen that we're missing. Upgrade. Overwrite fleet template. Upgrade fleet. Plus. Well, that would be to add an extra ship. No, we just want to do the one thing. What am I not understanding about this, folks? Upgrade? Okay. So maybe I locked in with the upgrade fleet. So I selected the retrofit details. And then we click the upgrade fleet. Now let's watch it. So we'll highlight Scurvy Dogs. Here we go. That did it. Okay, you can see here Trident class. So yeah. All right. Certainly we're getting more firepower on those ships. Did it refund us alloy? I don't know. I wonder if we should retrofit everything now. Those are all Tridents, the Scurvy Dogs. That fleet should be combined with another fleet, personally. The Raucous Plunderers, all Crow class. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go into Fleet Manager. Let's grab them and let's retrofit to the Trident class and send the upgrade command. And anyone else? Rapscallions are special derelict class, and the Belt Manglers are Crow class. And the R44 class Raiders, the Raiders are their own class, but they're kind of like destroyers, sort of. Yeah, let's grab them. Let's refit these 24. What the heck? Do it. I'm definitely not saying it's a better ship design that I did. It's just we're just practicing here, folks. Okay, all those are going to go in the queue. That'll take a little bit to get that done, and we have a new cancel agenda available. Infinite Opportunities is ready to launch. Excellent. So this will push us from +4 citizen happiness to +10%. Fantastic. And if I go in to set an agenda, we do have Come in Peace ready. Border friction -10%, trust cap +25, naval capacity -25%. Oof, that would hit us hard. Gosh dang it. Are we ready for that? Are we ready to launch that? We'd be right in the sweet spot for being able to accommodate it because we have like 10 extra naval cap right now. So, which is 20% over. So it would be a few ships over. We could do it. Is there any practical way we can get more naval capacity anytime soon? If I look at my technology tree, I'm 11 months out from naval cap. Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump into government. Let's check the agenda. We're going to go with Come in Peace. We've been meaning to do that at some point. You can see here we popped up over our naval cap, but in 11 months, we will have the additional naval capacity +25, which in this case will give us 18 extra because we're losing 25%. But yeah, we'll be in the clear again within a year. So we'll let that roll. I just want to keep eye out on the ships in our space. We did grab that there. Fantastic. And they're building the trade station there. Wow. I think we're in pretty good shape now, folks. Let's check the Senate real quickly, see what they're voting on. Senate is in session in 286 days. And we've already gone over all of our votes, I believe. We have a position on everything. Oh, no, we don't want to abstain from that. We support the shield because it gives us diplomatic weight from fleet power and extra naval cap. We are against that. And what have we done with the regulatory facility? We're abstaining. Let's just take a look at this so we don't miss out on this. Diplomatic weight from economy plus 20%. Worker pop resource output. Yeah, we support this. We're not abstaining from this. Support. Okay, cool. We'll run the clock forward a little bit here, and we're going to jump into our communications, or and maybe start poking around with some more diplomatic stuff. We want to get a federation made. Below the surface of Q4, I don't know how you say that. Q4 lives the most peculiar organism. Scans and samples show that it is some sort of mycelium littered with spores. Compared to the traditional size of spores on our homeworld, these are massive. Their surface is a shimmering kaleidoscope, and the hues seem to change based on their surroundings. The strangest thing about them is that they seem to form a network capable of generating what the science crew believes would be a signal. The current emissions are very weak, but with some effort, it might be possible to find out where they lead. We have three options here, folks. We will try to identify the signal destination. This would issue the special product a fungal trail. I'm always for special projects, personally. Just playing the game, having fun. Bring them back to be sold. We can just get 1,000 energy credits right off the bat. That's almost useless to us. Like, literally, we got 10K. We don't need more energy credits. And we don't have the time for this, which would give us, oh my, 2,067 unity. I would like that. This is tough. I really do want that unity. We would just have it right now. We don't have to do anything special. For the sake of our playthrough, I know we lean into Unity, but for the sake of the playthrough, I want to expose us to as many cool events as possible. I think this leads to a pretty good one. So we're going to issue the special project for this time. We'll see what happens. Very cool. So we're going to pause there. We're going to jump up and over to our situation log. Fungal trail available. Has a scientist in orbit. Scientist is present. Yeah, where's this at here? Where are you guys at? I want to see where this is functionally happening. Oh, okay. We have time here. This is in this little side branch of the galactic arm. So there's no rush. So yeah, let's jump on it right now and work on this project. So we're going to take our science ship Wise and we will issue them a special project. Maybe it would lead to a new planet or something. That's what this is always kind of like the best reward you can get, more or less, would be a new colony, especially when you occasionally lose colonies. It's not great. To defunct terraforming equipment, I don't appreciate that at all. Just want to make sure our ships are all doing something. What's Kugan Amon up to? They have no orders. Oh, come on, guys. Research the special project there. Yeah, I'm assuming that's a Cyberx project. FYI, let's talk about this real quick. If you get tired of managing your little fleet of science ships, you can automate them. And it's simple to use, so let's just look at it really quickly. Let's grab the Kugan Amon in this case. Right here is the Science Ship Automation button. We're going to click on that. It's going to open up a little tab with 5 options. You can check any combination of these that you want. So let's look at the options real quickly. Explore systems, survey systems, investigate anomalies, excavate archaeological sites, research special projects. And you can do any combination of these you want. Now, in the early game, meaning the first 5 years, 10 years you're playing, you could automate your science ships to just explore systems. They're not going to survey. They're just going to run around from system to system automatically. You don't have to do all the little micromanagement. And they'll just look for planets. They won't tell you exactly how good the planet is necessarily, or how, like, it'll be like potentially habitable planet of this class or this class, right? We've already figured that out. So yeah, you could jump in that way. In the first 5-10 years, you just run a couple science ships around exploring everywhere around you. Very cool. But certainly you would probably want to use the explore systems and the survey systems. And that means when they go to a new system to explore, they will then survey it. That would be the most basic thing. You just hit start and they'll start running around. I think they'll generally, I don't know what the exact pathing method is, but if you have, 3 or 4 science ships, you've been playing for a couple decades, you've got, several scientists out there, they're going to more or less fill in all the patches around you. It's pretty effective, and it keeps them out of your hair. It's nice. If you, certainly when you're, 20, 30 years in and your scientists are at level 3, 4, 5, they're pretty good at researching anomalies. You can have them investigate anomalies. And you could click that on as well and say, you know what, they might come across a class 5 or a class 8, class 10, but they'll be able to push through it. I've grabbed most of the territory I want, so I'm going to let them do it in their own time. You can click that on. I would leave excavate archaeological sites off for now. And the other thing you could turn on is that research special projects. In that way, when something odd pops up, like one of these, the fungal, whatever the heck, the mycelium network special projects issued, you don't then have to, they'll just say, there's one around there, they'll go grab it. Now, it doesn't control exactly what order they're going to do stuff in, but yeah. And if it's, you say you're towards the mid-game, you've expanded as far as you can, all of your borders are well-defined, and you have some archaeological sites and special projects are popping up, you just turn on everything and hit start. And then the handful of science ships you have left will just automatically go hoover up anything that pops up in your space. Makes it really simple. Just cleans your plate of those little ships. So definitely take that in stages as your empire's territory develops. Yeah, that's there. But for now, for the sake of us doing the tutorial, I kind of prefer to leave that off because I think it's important to talk about, like, just reminding folks, myself and you folks, that you've got to stay on top of your projects. You've got to check your situation log occasionally. Make sure you aren't biting off projects that are too big and too time-consuming too early, but that you don't let them sit too long, because ultimately, some of these more powerful event chains, like the Cybrix or the Fungal Trail, could lead to things as powerful as entire colonies. You don't want to leave it sitting. So, yeah, they'll work on that, right? Kugenamon's got that going. Yes, there you go, Cybrix Refinery. So, I think that all looks great. Canway, where are you at? Where's Canway? Just sitting down here, thumbing their butts. Zandabar is claimed. Let's get them working on those mining stations. That's 500. That's 5 mining stations. I don't like that. But it's probably a trade station, an alloy station, and what is it? How could there be 5? That's so bad. 2, 2, 2, 3, and 3. Okay. The alloy is the one I really want, though. 3 extra alloy when we're only generating plus 36. It's pretty good. Yeah, let's run that clock forward. Okay. There we go. So, yeah, our fleets are getting upgraded. I'm going to actually reduce that down. Real quick, let's just take a look. Our total fleet power is sitting not too bad. We're at about 4K now. I do want to combine the Scurvy Dogs with some other fleet. Where are the Scurvy Dogs? There we go. Right here. Yeah. Scurvy Dogs, sorry, we don't need you guys on your own. I'm just going to dump you in there. Yeah. Where's our other fleet at? It's these guys. Right up here. Reavers, Solar Reavers. God, we could use more fleet power up here. Let's do this. Let's grab this smaller fleet, the Raucous Plunderers, and let's send them up to join at Edelmar. If you ever have a fleet that's 300, 700, they aren't defensive from... Sorry, there's dust. They're not going to be able to really help you in a fight if you get invaded by a 4K fleet, 10K fleet. This is going to do nothing. They would only be good for, like, maybe clearing out some, alien space fauna, or potentially if a rogue asteroid's going to hit one of your colonies, right, hit a planet, they could go in and shoot that up. But, yeah, you want to start grouping your fleets together into groups of 1K, 4K, 10K. You got to build them up in chunks at some point. So yeah, that looks good. And let's do this now. Let's jump into contacts. Here we go, folks. We have good relations with. We are the Principality of Fu, by the way. So we could remove our. No, here we go. Non-player, other pre-FTL. We could hide the Fallen Empire, right? I say that because although we have good relations with the Zabrians, the Fallen Empire here. Why is it not showing them? Oh, non-player. Okay, everyone else is a non-player. We have a decent relation, very neutral. We can't do anything to affect that. Every now and again, a Fallen Empire is going to ask something of you, and you say yes or no. You say yes, and you get a little bit positive. You say no, you get a little bit negative. But in general, you can't negotiate with them. There's no diplomacy you can do. They're going to close their borders or open their borders depending on whether you've agreed to them or not. So in this case, the Zabrians have closed their borders to everyone. Fine. Nothing we can do about that. So let's take them off of there. This leaves everyone else. You can see out of the three, we'll say that these are our peers, right? And over here under the sort by relevant power, equivalent, equivalent, equivalent. And actually in every category, fleet power, economic, and technology, we are equivalent on all levels. So the four of us are all in parity with each other. These are our direct adversaries and our peers at this point. Our parity peers is pretty fun. Alliteration's awesome. The good news, though, is that 2 out of the 3 of our peers we are in positive relations with. I can look across and see that we, the Talakiran in particular, excellent relations at plus 789. Last month it changed by plus 4. So we're moving up. We have excellent relations and we're improving with them. I love that. Our border friction's at a minus 37. But because we're in the galactic community, we get a plus 50. Friendly first greetings, plus 45. Trust, mutual rivals, defensive pact, same authority. That's as in, same authority as in, I think we're both spiritual. I'm not going to click off there. Don't worry about it. But you can see all the things that add to that. So our opinion of them is also very positive. Their opinion of us, you combine those two together. So 410 is their opinion of us. I can't mouse in there. I apologize. Our opinion of them is 379. So it's a two-way street. We think well of them. They think well of us. We add those two numbers together, and that is how we get 789. So if we were to go in, sometimes you can't control what the other empire is doing. But you can. You can go in and improve or harm relations with your diplomat. Your envoy. You can do that. So you can be hurting your own opinion of them. But as you eat away at that relationship, it's not the word trust specifically, but it's just your relations. Yeah, relations is literally what the category is called. You can chip away at your relations. As you do that on your side, it decreases your overall relations. And presumably the other guys would know it. But if we break down this excellent friendship we have, it comes down to things like your first greeting, whether or not you're both in the galactic community. If they're not in the galactic community, if they elected to not join, then it would probably be at odds with each other, I'd guess. You'd have to check that in your own playthroughs. Border friction's the only real negative for us because we share a massive border. Yeah, in particular, we actually grabbed a star system complete within their space, which I'm sure they love. But that's the only negative. Trust is growing. It's only going to go up as we go deeper into the diplomacy tradition tree. Mutual rivals, yeah, I would guess we both hate the Free Estwanian Confederacy because they're trash. They're sub-alien. They're sub-Xeno. You know what I'm saying? We're going to exterminate them at some point. And then our defensive pact, same authority, again, is our... they must be spirituals or something. Right, here, we'll click on it. We'll see. They are authoritarian, fanatically, and they're xenophile. And we are... theocracy? Is that what it is? Oh, here we go. It's feudal. In feudal? What the hell is it called? It's this symbol, but it's just not it's theocratic monarchy, feudal empire. Oh, crap, I can't remember. It's an empire. It's imperial. That is what they're talking about here. So this is why we look, folks. Same authority is, are you a democracy? Are you an oligarchy? Are you a dictatorship? I can't remember all the categories, but that's what the authority is. It doesn't have anything to do with your ethics. So authority, ethics, traits, traditions, all separate things. Okay. But that's cool. So let's look real quickly at the Kendojin. Are a moral democracy. Boo. What does that do with their... We'll mouse into here. Oh, I can't see. I don't have more information. Since we don't have enough intel, we cannot speculate as to the reasons. So we have we're neutral with them at a plus 84. Last month that changed by 0. And we can't see deeper into there. We can't get deeper insights because we don't have enough intel on that. So something we may want to work on, which we'll probably have to send an envoy and build up relations. Okay, let's look real quickly at the Freestuanians. Freestuanians are... didn't mean to do that. Contacts. Here we go. They are a militarist commissariat. Sure, they're democratic crusaders. I wish when you just clicked on there, we would just say authority democratic. Yeah, there you go. So the Freestuanians have more in common with the Kendojin and less in common with the Principality of Fula and the Talakuran because of their authority level. So if I mouse over this, our relations are terrible. Last month it changed by +2. We're getting better. I don't know as much. It's going to take a long time to fix that. Okay, good enough. Let's jump back here to the Talakuran. Anything else to glean from this? Xenophile diplomacy. Okay, xenophilia on their part. Fantastic. And improve relations. Yeah, we're working to improve relations. They're working to improve relations. Very cool. So you can see how that all goes together. We're putting a lot of our influence into these different research agreements, defensive pact, migration treaty. You can see up here when we mouse over, right there, migration pact, research agreement, commercial pacts, defensive pact. We're getting very good costs. Those are very cheap for us at 0.12, 0.12, 0.12. I wonder why that is so cheap for us. Something probably through our tradition tree for diplomacy. I think we get reductions. Yes. Let's find out, since we're looking at this. Why is it that we are getting all these pacts and agreements for less? Because you can imagine it would really eat into our... It does eat into our influence, but we get a very little influence gained right now. And in particular, if we want to get into more pacts and agreements with the Kendojin or the Freestuanians, it would suck up all of our influence. But that's not hurting us so badly, presumably because when we go into government... Policy, no, here, we'll just... Right here. Traditions. Diplomacy. So I'm looking in here when we chose the diplomacy tradition, down under adoption effects, unlocks edict, diplomatic grants. Here we go. Diplomatic agreement, influence upkeep, minus 50%. Those are your pacts. Those are your agreements. And it's a big savings right off the bat. That's for the upkeep. That's influence upkeep and diplomatic influence cost minus 25%. What's the difference? Agreement influence upkeep versus diplomatic influence cost? Is there an initial... Oh, crud. There's just one word difference. There's 2 words difference. But I'm pretty sure that we are benefiting from the diplomatic agreement influence upkeep right now of minus 50. I don't know where a diplomatic influence cost comes in. Maybe that's when you're proposing something. We're gonna look. We're gonna look to try and find out where that is. That's the initial. I think this is similar to an edicts. When we go into our edicts and you have the initial cost to turn on an edict versus the upkeep to keep it running month by month. probably around where we're at. It probably works very similar to edicts. Okay. By the way, while we're in edicts, do we have everything on that we want? Yes. Everything's turned on except for these wartime based ones, which is fine. That's what we want. We don't want to be wasting our exotic gases. We don't need those. But isn't that amazing, folks? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 edicts turned on right now with headroom. This is so much fun. It's so many special abilities. And it's just like, I love it. I just love it. Sorry. Okay. Wait, we're going back though to how the hell do you society management? Is that okay? Society management is traditions. It's frustrating me because this is the traditions window. The only tab is the traditions tab. Yet, for some reason, it's called the society management button thing. It's not. It's the traditions button, folks. It's the traditions. Now, maybe at some point we'll get relics under here. Maybe they'll get a relics tab when we find. I don't know. I don't know. This is yeah. Okay. What we're looking at though. Let's jump back in here. Yeah, that's why that's there. Is diplomacy got us that? Okay. So now we're gonna go back to the contacts. We're just fiddling around. We're digging in deep here. Is there anything else? Let's start with the Talacuran just because I think we're furthest along. We're gonna hit the diplomacy button. In here, we can improve relations, build a spy network, send an envoy who will work on building a spy network within their civilization. I don't think we need that, honestly. I think our societies are so open with each other, we can get good intel. We can see here our intel is at 60. Let's just look at this pop-up. Current intel is 60 of 60. Intel is changing around of 1 per month to a maximum of 60. So for categories of government, diplomacy, economy, technology, and military, we have medium level intel on all of those. So apparently, the high is higher than medium. I'm guessing low, like none, low, medium, high, complete. I don't know what all the categories are, but okay, that's cool. Your intel on the Talacuran hegemony will tend towards the highest of, and this is for why. Base intel is 10. Diplomatic pacts, 60. From trust, 51, meaning like we're willingly sharing information. We're nearly allies. From infiltration, 0, because we don't have a spy network. From active reconnaissance, 0. How would you get active reconnaissance? Is that also intel? Maybe that's in the initial stages of before you have made diplomatic relations and cracked communication with the Xeno. Maybe that's active reconnaissance. You're sending fleets in, you're capturing their ships, you're capturing their people. There's a few of those options you can do early on. I don't know. Question. All right. Diplomatic pacts may grant additional intel on the other party, regardless of the current intel level. From commercial pacts, we're getting information on relative economic power, medium intel on systems, and high intel on colonies. That makes sense because we're literally sending container ships. Like, think of, in this case, we'll say China and the United States, or the United States in the EU, sending container ships back and forth with crew members, ships that have radios, have radars, like on these ships potentially, crew members going aboard ports, going on shore, which in this case would be a planet or a space station at the very least, cargo ships and material going back and forth that allow you to know about the economy, the people, what's being consumed. That's what that transparency represents through a commercial pact. That's pretty cool. From migration treaties, low intel on systems. Yeah, theoretically, as you're sending in a certain amount of migrants, there can be a certain amount of spies. We have porous borders. So when we think of, like, say, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine in our modern situation, visas get rejected for, say, Russian citizens going into EU nations. Certainly the Ukraine and the Russians are, I don't think, allowing anyone to go back and forth. So all those visas are blocked at this point. But that's where that intel is coming from on systems in general. Then at the defensive pact, we get low intel on systems and relative fleet power. That makes sense. Because if you're in a defensive pact, you're essentially saying, I will come to your aid, you'll come to my aid. But in order for that to have any weight, I need to know relatively how much military power you can bring to the fight, or it's not worth anything to me. That's kind of the conceit there. Listen, we have around a 4K fleet. I want the Talacurans to have not a huge fleet, but I want them to have 4, 5, 6K. If they only have a 1K fleet, then they can't really help us in a fight. And our enemies would know that. Okay? So where else are we getting intel from? Research agreement, relative technological power. Yeah, we're literally sending scientific data back and forth. Our scientists talk. That's where that's coming from. And finally, from embassy, diplomatic pacts situation. Okay, we may want to work on an embassy here. All right, what's this little eyeball thing here? Infiltration level. Oh, that is our spy network. Okay, 0. We don't have it. Daily progress is in the negative. It's going down because we don't... Our infiltration level of this empire is changed each day by this amount. So nearly nothing, but it is going down. Spy networks can only grow if they have an envoy assigned to act as a spy master. Countries with high empire size or where we have a relative encryption advantage are easier to infiltrate. Okay, that's telling us something about how the game mechanics work. A sprawling empire is easier to penetrate, yeah, I said it, with your spy network. That's right, folks. That makes sense. You're more porous. There are more places of corruption. There's more people willing to sell you out, and there's less places you can have your defensive eyes, right? In this case, it's not the FBI. It'd be the CIA would be your internal defensive, or the NSA, maybe. Yeah, probably NSA would be the best example. Internal defensive. I don't think the FBI, because the FBI in the United States is for crime, monitoring crime and stuff. I think so. CIA, I think, is for external. I think the NSA is for internal threats. But that's just my example of the United States. I mean, I know every country's got their own stuff for all that stuff. Anyway, otherwise, having an encryption advantage. We haven't really leaned into anything in the way of encryption, but you could go heavy into that. You could work as a spy network empire, potentially, if you built for that. So, okay. What else do we have on this page to look at here? We have empire size. It's got a question. Okay. We have pretty good information on how many districts they have, how many systems, how many colonies, general population. Kinship minus 10%. Okay. At our current empire size, we have the following modifiers. Technology cost plus 17. Tradition cost plus 17. That is them, though. That's not us, right? Let's just look. Yeah, that's them. This is us. We're at 161. You can see our technology costs, tradition costs are at 12%. Now, we clearly have a lot of negative modifiers pushing our empire size down. Courier networks, interstellar dominion, courier networks, pacifists. Now, it's possible when we look at them, we don't know about anything besides kinship. Or maybe it's just that that's all they have and we've pushed in. So maybe our empire size is actually larger than their 187. But because of all of our picks, we've reduced it. Maybe. Okay. What else do we got here, folks? Empire colonies, yeah, known. Colonies are hard to hide, so we probably have pretty good information on most of those. But yeah, we can see everything there. Population, yeah, they may be an estimate, but and we can actually see they have some Babaki. They have 199 Babaki in their civilization. I wonder how that rates relative to us. I bet you we have way more Talacuran. Let's see, how can we see that? Crap, what does that fall under? Species. Yeah, here we go. Talacure, 411. So we have over twice them, and our population is bigger than them as well by about 1K. That's cool. All right, let's close that back down. Let's jump back to our contacts. Let's go back to the Talacuran, back to diplomacy. So we're just making our way through here. Diplomatic weight. This is their diplomatic weight, obviously. 627. Delegate is giving them a plus 10% to that. I think we also have a delegate in there, right? Where this is coming from, this is handy if you want to know, do you want to pursue more diplomatic weight via economy, technology, population, or fleet power? You got to look at where the other Xenos sit. to know what works for you. Their fleet power is coming in at a 95. A lot from Pops. That's 261, although we know we probably have a little more because we have more population. Economy, 127. Technology, 88. Cool. I'm trying to... I wish there was a good way to see that for us, relative to us. Can we see our own? We can't, can we? No, these are all Xenos. I wish there was a way to just like show us our own diplomacy page for us. I don't think there is. Hold on, let's try this. Let's go to contacts. Look at us. Empire player. See, it won't let me go into my own diplomatic thing. There's ways to find out what all those numbers are, but I got to go to disparate places within the game's interface to see what our relative fleet power is for diplomacy. Like if I go up here, like I'm looking at our naval cap, I don't see where our diplomacy's coming from. No, I don't. Crap, where would I find that? Under government? I don't think so. Gosh darn it. Yeah. That's a little bit annoying. I don't know where I would find that. Here, let's click into here real quick. So we're in the Galactic Community tab. Solutions, no. Come to the Senate. Mouse on us. Here we go. Here's our breakdown, folks. Our fleet power is at 120. Pops, 332. Economy, 189. Technology, 82. So they have us beat on technology by a little bit. But yeah, we have a big economy. We have a lot of fleet power. Let's mouse over everyone else real quickly. Here's the Talacuran. We can do a direct comparison. So this is a quick way to see where everyone stands. And then let's jump over to the Kendogen. I know we have limited intel, but fleet power is at 103. Pops, 284. Economy, 155. Technology, 90. Everybody's got more technology than us. Which tracks because we've deliberately abandoned all science and reason. It's spirituality is all we need. And those priests, those sweet, sweet priests. Yeah, we got a big economy though, and we got a big fleet. We're carrying a big stick here, folks, which is good. Yeah. All right, and then finally, Free Estwanians. They have a considerable amount of fleet power, a small amount of pops, a weak economy, and a lot of technology. You know, we're all pretty tight on technology, to be fair. But yeah, we want to keep pushing forward fleet power in economics, and I'd say population. I think we have the largest in all those categories. Again, we're playing on an easy mode, which just, you know, we're playing like in the, you know, private level of difficulty, whatever, meaning like, you know, newbie. We're on newbie level. Makes it all a bit easier for us. We'd be getting our butts kicked right now otherwise. I do know that. Yeah, we're looking good on all categories except technology. Okay, let's close this down. So that's where we found that information. Let's go back into contacts. Let's go back to the Talacuran. Let's go back to diplomacy. We're just making our way across. But yeah, that's just a quick breakdown if you want to see that. And then here we go. Trust. What is modifying trust? We currently have 102.9. Now, bear in mind, there are trust caps. So if we look down at the bottom of this pop-up all the way down, it says their maximum trust of us is 125 due to defensive pact. We come in peace adds a plus 25. So their old trust cap would have been 100, but because we come in peace turned on, we get an extra 25. It puts their max trust cap up to 125. But trust isn't a percentage. It is a number. You can have a max trust of 50 or 75 or 100 or 125. Okay, interesting. So what is trust kind of doing for us? Well, their trust of us is changing by plus 1.45 each month due to the following things: the commercial pact, the defensive pact, migration access, research agreement, and embassy. It's all of it. We got everything. So our trust is really growing quickly and we can have a lot of it. Trust is a measure of our long-term relationship with this empire and directly impacts their opinion of us. It increases from maintaining diplomatic and economic agreements with them. That's literally what you get for it. That's why you have it. Okay, so all that said, we've looked at all sorts of great stuff. Is there anything else we can do right now? We could improve relations. Okay. We have 4 total envoys right now. We can improve it more. Yeah, let's send in a Talacuran envoy of ours. Do it. We'll improve relations. That's going to push it up even more. Build a spy network. Not necessary. Harm relations. No. Offer trade deal. So we're not doing. We do a trade deal. Sure. I guess. What will we get out of that? Oh, no. That's just straight up resource trades. I've never messed with that. Okay. We will leave this. We'll get back to this at some point. This looks like a straight up trades, though, right? Like, you give me resources, I give you science technology. It's like swaps. Okay. There may be a way to get bonuses to trade deals, like affecting their willingness, and maybe you can get like 10% more for a trade than normally they would value. So overvaluing trades because of something we choose. We'll keep an eye out for that. But we do know that trade negotiations exist. So we're going to be looking for those, the words of trade. I see due to harmonious collective personality. Okay. We'll keep our ears and eyes open for that kind of stuff. What else is there? We don't want to break any pacts. Closed borders. No, we like having open borders with them. It benefits us for right now. Proposed subjugation. Not necessary. I mean, I think I would rather try and get them into federation with us first. And they're not particularly weaker than us. So I don't know if they'd want to do it. We should look into that, though, with maybe the weaker little guys. What the hell are they called? We might want to look into that with the Kendojin at some point. Because I get the feeling the Kendojin are a much smaller population and power level. Okay, back to diplomacy. What else is there? Anything else? Asked to be their subject? No. Recall embassy? No. Declare war? No. Make claims? Declare rivalry? Form federation? Check. We're ready to do it. Okay. We just need the Federation Code technology, which, gosh dang it, do we have access to that crap? Sorry. I'm not seeing it. It would be under society. Are we waiting for naval capacity to finish in 9 months? Probably. And then if we go back to society management, did we gain access to that already? We did. So from the diplomacy tradition, from the Federation tradition pick, we have access to it. 25% completed. So as soon as we finish our naval cap issue, we will move into the Federation pick with them. Okay, so with the few minutes we have left, I know we're right at an hour. Let's just jump in here. What can we do with the Free Estwanians real quick? Diplomacy. Improve relations. Build a spy network. Harm relations. Declare war. Offer trade deal. Insult. There's quite a few options in here that are not available to us for obvious reasons. Claim. End rivalry. We could end the rivalry, sure. Could improve relations. Do we have anyone working on that? Busy improving relations. Oh, we have 2 people doing relations. Okay, we got to be a little cautious of that. Waiting to be assigned. I would rather keep them as our enemies for the time being, to be honest. Build a spy network. Possibly. Let's hunt this fish. Let's hunt the Kendojins. Let's switch over to them real quick. Here we go. So we've selected the Kendojin from this drop-down. They're friendly with us. Let's work on improving relations. Let's bring the Kendojin in, because we could federate with them. If us and the Talakurians and the Kendojin are all tied together in a federation at some point, or we subjugate the Kendojin and we federate with the Talacuran, we're going to have the game functionally locked up. Because our enemies over there, the Confederacy, whatever the hell, they won't mess with us. So, improve relations. We are busy doing that with the Kendojin already. Good. Build a spy network. Harm. Declare trade offer. Form a non-aggression pact. Guarantee independence. I don't want to do that. Establish an embassy. Yes. We want to do that because we're getting good benefits from embassies. So let's drop that in right now. Sounds like they will accept this. And we aim to establish an embassy with them. Effects: establishing an embassy in their capital planet, improving the effectiveness of friendly envoys, and increasing intel targets. Confirm. An excellent initiative. We should forge even stronger ties than for our nation. So that's what they're saying. They like it. Let's do it. We've got that. And remember, we're even gaining a bit of unity now from that pick. Or did we not pick that yet? Hold on. Society management. Oh, we don't have it yet, but we will. We will. We'll gain it there. So we'll move into that eventually. So that's cool. We have embassies with 2 of them now. I want to go back to the Free Estwanian Confederacy, our arch nemesis, our rivals. Can we do an embassy with them? Scroll down. Establish an embassy. We cannot. Why? We cannot establish an embassy because they are our rival. Okay, that's fine. We're not going to end the rivalry yet. I want to dig into that a little more. I think we kind of ran out of time here today, folks, digging through all this. So I feel like we took a really good look at the diplomacy window, at least with someone we're friendly with. We see that by declaring rivalries, improving relations, and establishing embassies are kind of the 3 most... There's kind of the 3 starting points with another civilization. Listen, if you close borders and you declare rivalry and you harm relationships, those are all things that are going to make someone go into the red against you. It's gonna hurt your relations with them. It's pretty obvious. So you have at least 3 levers you can do with pretty much anyone. On the other side of that, if you want to improve relations, similar levers. Do you improve relations? You can open borders. You can try to establish an embassy. So there are, I know I always find diplomacy a little bit opaque, but Stellaris has it nailed down pretty well. They've done a good job with it. So don't ever feel like there's no way to move that needle. I think the trick is in the game is being selective about where you're putting your energies. You've only got so many envoys. So you can only harm or improve relations so effectively. You can only open spy networks so effectively. But embassies don't take an envoy, I don't think. So opening borders and sending out those envoys are very good options. Harm relations, declare... Yeah, that's where... Oh, and ending rivalries. Declaring rivalries or ending them doesn't take an envoy. So you can definitely not declare rivals. You can definitely open borders, and you can potentially do embassies if you haven't done those other things. And then if you have the envoy available, you can improve relations. And then at that point, if you have the influence available, you can work on your pacts and agreements bit by bit. Now, how much of that you could do is going to depend on your civilization build, your species build, empire build, and whether you've gone into the diplomacy tradition. So, yeah. But for us, since we're pacifists, it made sense to go into the diplomacy tradition, and I think it's going to really help us tie this up. For the time being, I just want an enemy to have an enemy for the sake of the fun of the game. I just want the bad guys to be out there. But we are going to work really hard at continuing to improve our relations with Talacuran. We're going to bring the Kendogen into the fold. We're going to try and federate with both of them, or at the very least, federate with the Talacuran so we can look at federations and maybe subjugating the Kendogen to look at subjugation. So those are things that are coming up in future episodes. We'll dig into those a little bit more. But otherwise, we're sitting good. That's plenty long for this episode, folks. I know we barely ran the clock forward on this, but it's fun to look at that. And I think we're in a really, really good spot in the game. Bear in mind, we have a feeling there's at least one more Xeno Empire up here in the northern lobe of the galaxy, the northern arm of the galaxy, and we have no idea what their capabilities are. So we're going to find them eventually. That's it. If you watched, thank you so much, folks. What are we going to do next time? We're going to run the clock next time. We're going to let shit happen. And yeah. Okay. Take care.